Hello, it's JJ. I had surgery yesterday. I was gonna wait a bit longer to film, but then again, I have so many things to say about how surgery went that I figured I'd give you a little update already. So I kind of want to go through what happened coming into the hospital yesterday, how surgery went, how things went the day after because I had to stay the night in the hospital, and how I'm feeling now because it was a bit of a roller coaster, more than I'd expected. um, so let's go. Day of surgery, I was a little bit early, had to get in at 10, was there at 9:15. Because of the whole corona thing, I had to go in alone, and nobody was there to actually walk me to my room. So I had to register, and they just told me, like, okay, you just go around the back, up, take the lift up to the second floor. And I was like, okay. So I took my little trolley, went up to the second floor, which was the maternity ward. So I was looking around and was like, is this the right place? Is this where I'm supposed to be? So I go up to some nurses and I'm like, yes, hi, I'm not sure if I'm in the right place, seeing as this is the maternity ward, but I have these things and papers. Could someone show me where I'm supposed to be? And they're like, oh no, yeah, you're in the right place. So they had me a room on the maternity ward for some reason. I asked for a double room because it's cheaper, you get more back from insurance, etc. But they didn't have any double rooms. They only had single rooms. So I got a single room for the same price and under the same conditions as a double room, which was pretty nice. It made me feel a bit more secure so that if I had any trouble, if anything was amiss, there wouldn't be anyone else there to like be annoyed by me or get frustrated or meddle in my affairs. So that was cool. So they told me that my surgery was planned at 20 to 1. So I had some time to just sort of settle in, chill out, which is what I did. And then at some point they brought me my gown. And the nurse, this was funny. So the nurse comes in, brings my gown, has some papers for some stuff. And she looks at me and she's like, so what's your name? What's your date of birth? What surgery are you here for? And I'm like, yeah, double mastectomy. And she looks at me and she's like, because I don't look like a cancer patient. I'm not that old. I'm not on hormones. So she didn't really clock me as like a trans person. And she's like, okay, cool. If you don't mind, like, why? So I very enthusiastically say, I am transgender. And she looks at me and she stutters a bit and she goes like, oh, okay, well, okay. And I can see in her eyes that she's like wondering, like, wait, am I supposed to address this person as a man? Is this a man? Should I call them he? So I very quickly go like, I'm non-binary. So I'm not on hormones, might be in the future, I'm not sure. Like, yeah, we're figuring that out. So she starts asking questions, like the good kind of questions, like very interested, in a kind of like, oh, I didn't know about this, please teach me way, which was fun. Um, yeah, and then she was talking about pansexuality, and she was like, I know about that because my kids are in high school and they learn about that now. I'm like, well, cool. She was very friendly. Staff was very friendly, all of them. So I felt at ease a lot, like wasn't anxious or anything. At 12 o'clock, they came into my room and they were like, okay, well, it's your turn. Here are some compression socks you need to put on your gown, get into bed. We're gonna, get you to the OR. And they were taking my bed and I was almost out the door of my room and some other nurse comes around and she's like, oh, the OR just called. We have to take in this other person first. And I start laughing because in my mind it's like, of course I'm in the hospital and of course shit gets postponed and of course it's going wrong. Why the hell not? And this nurse looks really apologetic and she's like, so happy that you can laugh about it. Not everyone can. And I'm like, you know what? It's fine. I'm starving. Whether I'm starving now or whether I'm starving in 4 hours, it's really irrelevant at this point. I waited so long for this. I can wait a couple hours more. It's fine. I must say I have never been so bored in my life as the 3 extra hours I had to wait for them to come get me for surgery. Because the thing is, like, I wasn't sure when they would come. So I had no idea whether it be an hour or 2 or 3 or 4. So I didn't really know, can I start watching a movie on Netflix? Am I going to be able to finish it? Like, plus, like, the bed was a bit uncomfortable. The pillow wasn't very thick. It wasn't really, like, I was wearing these compression socks, which were uncomfortable. So that was a bit of a bummer. Okay, I'm going to just, kick my blanket off because I'm really warm. Okay, so at 3 o'clock, they came back in and they're like, okay, now it's your turn. And I had thought that that was the point where I would start getting nervous, but I didn't. So they wheeled me into the hallway. And I'm like, yep, that's fine. I was just like grinning and smiling all the way through. They leave me in the hallway. Some other people came pick me up and they were like, oh, were you this person? And I'm like, yep, that's me. And then they scanned my wristband, took me down to where the OR is. They tried to give me an IV in my hand. I don't know if you can tell, but there's like a little puncture hole and a bit of a bruise. And they pricked it, but they couldn't like get to where they needed to be. So then they took it back out and I had to put the IV in my arm. And they put this like a bunch of gauze on my hand with a tape over it to stop the bleeding. And I had my hand like face down on the bed, lying flat, so they could put the IV in my arm. And then suddenly the nurse was like, uh-oh. And I was like, wait, uh-oh, what? And I look at my hand and I'm just bleeding through all of the gauze. And the nurse is like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, well, it's not your fault. And it's not like I'm going to die because it's right. So it's okay. It's fine. Anyway, so they put the IV in my arm. It was a bit of a thing. I think it's my veins. Apparently I have thin veins. I don't know what it is. They got the IV in my arm, but like it wouldn't drip. It was a hassle to just make it run properly. But, whatever. I had to wait for a bit. I still wasn't nervous. They put like this little cap on my head. And I was telling nurses like, I'm feeling like a bit anxious about not being nervous. I'm just happy that I'm here. I'm feeling pretty okay. I was grinning. I was singing along to the radio playing. It felt a bit weird that I was, about to be brought into an OR and I was that happy about it. But I was. So, okay. So my surgeon comes and gets me. She puts me upright. Starts drawing lines on my chest, and I tell her that at one point I took out my kitchen scales. I don't know if I told anyone this yet. I took out my kitchen scales, put them on the table, kneeled next to the table, put my tits on the kitchen scales to weigh how much they were. And at that point, like the way I weighed them, it was like 1.5 kilograms each. So I told my surgeon and she was like, yeah, that might be about right, actually. I'll let you know after surgery. I was like, okay, cool. I was really happy. She drew a bunch of stuff on me, put me back down, covered me back up, and then I was wheeled into the OR. And I mean, I know that for other people under other circumstances, this might all be like scary and weird and whatever, but I felt so comfortable. Oh my God. So they bring me into this OR and like a bunch of people start sort of like wrapping me up, start fixating my arms with like, with sheets, putting it under my bum so my arms are nice and cozy next to my body. The anesthesiologist starts talking to me. He's really friendly, very cute person, really friendly, very like happy, smiley, asking me questions. Are you okay? Did you take any, have you had any food? Are you sober? Like, do you have any allergies? Blah, blah, blah. And I was answering questions. And meanwhile, all of these nurses are around me and they're just sort of packing me in. And it felt like being in a warm, fuzzy cocoon. And I was so happy. It was weird. I was so happy. And then there's this nurse on my right side. Let's call her Nancy. So she's like, oh, hi, my name's Nancy. Could you just lift your bum for me so I can get this sheet underneath? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And she's just like, oh, I'm just being honest. So I instantly liked Nancy very much. And then she put like this little oxygen mask over my face. And she's like, oh, little oxygen. I'm like, yeah, baby. I'm cool. I'm comfy. This is like a holiday. It was a bit like a holiday. Felt a bit like, I don't know, a wellness session. So then the anesthesiologist is like, okay, so you're going to start drifting off now. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And I was like, I'm going to count to 10 and see how long it takes and see if I remember counting to 10. So I'm looking up at these lights in the OR and I'm counting and I get to 10 and I'm not falling asleep. And I'm like, huh. And the last thing I remember thinking is like, when am I going to drift off? My vision isn't getting blurry. And then I woke up. which is the weirdest sensation. And I remember the first thing I did when I woke up was like look to my right and I saw Nancy. And I was like, wait, you're Nancy. I remember that. So funny. And they were still putting me in my bed, so I had to move, like they were going to move me from a table to my bed, and they were like, oh, we're going to move you now. And I was like, okay. And I was really ready to just myself with my own strength just push on my arms and get onto my bed. And they were like, no, 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 we'll pick you up, it's fine. Great. So then like I'm in recovery. I see it's like 5:15, so surgery took very little time because they came and got me at 3. So the entire time between them coming to get me and me waking up in recovery was like 2 hours and a bit. So that's not that long, which is cool. Because I didn't want nipples either, so that probably knocked some time off of surgery. So I remember like looking at the clock and I said, 5:15. Wow, that's not that late. This didn't take long at all. That was very funny waking up. It was nice. So I drifted off for a couple of minutes again, opened my eyes. It was 5:20. Closed my eyes again, felt the blood pressure cuff do something, watched my BP, and I was like 1410, that's a bit high. Drifted off again, woke up again 10 minutes ago to see my BP be 12/8, and I was like, that's more like it. And then I started being in pain. Now, this is where it gets a bit like, because there was another patient waking up across from me. And I am not sure how much pain medication he already got. The only thing that I noticed was that he kept asking for more pain meds. That he kept saying that he was in pain. And the nurse is being kind of rude to him. Like, no, you've already got your maximum. Of course you're in pain. You had surgery. It's normal. Just suck it up. Like, so I was kind of scared to ask for pain medication. So I started crying. And I'm too awkward to say anything. So I was crying because I was in a lot of pain, and they came and checked on me, and I was like, okay, well, it really hurts. And they were like, oh, no, it's fine. We'll give you something. So that was cool. In 15 minutes, I just sort of like felt this numbing sensation go through my chest, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's better. They brought me to my room at like 7 o'clock in the evening. Took a few sips of water, wasn't really nauseous at all, kept the water down fine. But then I was calling my parents. So I sat up to do a video chat, and the sitting up, so that was the first time I actually kind of like put my chest upright after getting surgery. And it's not like it hurt or anything, but I got this blood pressure drop. I felt my face get super white. I felt the blood sink to my toes. I got really hot and sweaty, but I also had to pee. So I rang the bell for the nurse, and she came in, and I was like, wow, I'm going to try and get up to pee, but I'm feeling kind of weird. So she took my blood pressure, which was only 10/6. Do you guys say like 100/60? Anyway, we do with a number less, apparently. I don't know, way from what you do, but you know, you get it. And I was like, no, I want to pee, and I want to do it myself. Ironically, before surgery, I peed like, I'm not exaggerating, I peed like 20 times while waiting before getting surgery. The irony of that. But anyway, so I told her I want to go pee, but I want to try to do it myself, but I'm not sure if I can get up out of bed, because, you know, when I sat up straight, I started feeling weird. So she was like, okay, no, it's fine. I'm around. So just, you know, I'll help you get there. Also, I didn't have a wheelie thing for my IV drip, so she had to bring that over to me. Because I couldn't take it off my bed itself because it was too high. I couldn't get my arms up to that high. So she brought it to the loo, put it on a hook there. She left. She waited outside the door, and she was like, okay, if you feel like not nauseous at all, or like you've got a faint, just ring the bell. I was like, okay, fine. But I was able to pee fine, which was great. It was such a relief. I was able to pee. Started feeling better. Got up. Got back into bed. And it took like 5 minutes, and I felt normal again. But I did feel like I wasn't ready to eat. Not that I was nauseous, but I was very, very tired. So I had a few naps, tweeted a little bit of pictures in between, I think. Yeah, had a little nap. That was like 9 o'clock. Started getting pain again. I asked for painkillers like a lot. And the problem was also that every time they put like paracetamol on my IV, it's like it wouldn't drip properly. So they had to like stay there, watch it, make sure it ran okay, you know, because it was way too slow. I really had to like put my arm out, stretch it out really hard, which was painful because I just had surgery and now I had to like lift it up and overstretch it and like work my chest muscle, which wasn't very comfortable. But anyway, it went fine. I had to ask for pain medication at night a few times, but overall, pain was fine and manageable. It was particularly near where the drains were that really stung. They emptied the drains once at 4 o'clock at night, and then there was like very little fluid in it in the morning, which is why they already took them out. Because it's weird, like every top surgery video or whatever I've watched, people have to keep their drains in for days, have to go home with their drains in. And my surgeon during our consults was instantly like, okay, well, we'll take the drains out the day after. And I was like, okay, cool. And now they did take the drains out. So I'm not sure because I haven't seen anybody else say that they've had their drains out like the day after surgery. So I don't know if that's special or not, but I figured it's important to tell you so that you know that you don't always have to expect to keep your drains in for days if you're going to have top surgery. Apparently, ask your surgeon about this, because my surgeon also said during my consults, like, we'll take the drains out the day after, and if you experience like any sort of like, you might feel the fluid build up in your chest the days afterwards, and you might feel it like whirl around or something. And she said it's totally normal, it's fine. So then when you come for your post-surgery consult, I'll just stick a needle in there and drain it. That's fine. So that's also something that can happen apparently. So my night was horrible in the sense that I didn't sleep at all. I saw every minute on the clock, but I assume it's because my surgery was a bit late in the day. I was only awake at like fully, completely aware and awake at like 6 o'clock in the evening, and then I took some naps. So I think I wasn't tired. It's not that I was in so much pain, but I wasn't tired, and the bed wasn't very comfortable. I was very happy to have my neck pillow with me. I had a neck pillow. Do I have it here? It's too far away for me to get right now, but I bought a neck pillow, took it to the hospital, which was very helpful. Also, I bought these mastectomy pillows, 2 of them, one for each armpit. Also had those, very helpful. If you have top surgery, essentials. Neck pillow, mastectomy pillows, they're going to make you so much more comfortable. So yeah, I also woke up wearing my compression vest, which is so tight. It's so tight. It's so much pressure. Like, half of the discomfort that I feel is from wearing this vest. It is so fucking tight. But, yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. So where was I? Okay, so at 8 in the morning, this morning, a nurse came in, and this is where I got several panic attacks over the course of the morning. I'm going to tell you why. So at 8 in the morning, the nurse came in. She took out my IV, gave me paracetamol in a tablet, which didn't help for shit. I must say, this is important later on. So I was in pain. She gave me paracetamol on a tablet. Fuck no. She brought me my food, and then she said, did your surgeon tell you that she would come by today? And I was like, yes. Also, these drains need to go out. And the nurse was like, oh, because loads of people just go home with their drains in. That's weird. Why would they take them out the day after? And I was like, what? And she was like, okay, let me check if your surgeon wrote anything down about coming by. And she looks at this sheet and she's like, oh, nope, she didn't write anything down. But, if she told you that she's coming by, she'll probably come by. That's fine. So I was like, okay, fine. At that point, I was still kind of trusting that I heard correctly, that I was informed correctly, that I knew what was going on, that it will probably be fine. So by 10 o'clock, I start feeling like a lot of pain again because fucking paracetamol tablets are useless. That doesn't do anything for me. Fuck that bullshit. So I was in more pain than I had been. So I was getting kind of anxious about that. And also I had to let my best friend who was going to come pick me up from the hospital know when about to come and get me, because she had an hour drive before she would make it to the hospital. And I had no idea when my surgeon was going to come, and I was getting kind of nervous, and it started. That's the avoidant personality part of me, the like social anxiety, the doom thinking. I don't know, like a lot of you might not know that I have that. I have avoidant personality disorder, and I might do more content about that in the future, so that I can teach you about what that is and how it affects my life. But in this instance, what happened, and this is also why I said it's not very handy for me to have to get the surgery during this corona crisis thing, because I can't have an advocate with me. And this is the reason why that's important. It was 10 o'clock, I was in pain, and my brain started doing its disordered thing. I mean, lots of people can get this, but the reaction that I have is very mental illness related. So I started doom thinking, like, wait, what if I misunderstood? What if she's not coming by? What if I did need to keep the drains in? What if I am misinformed? What if I don't remember correctly? Why doesn't anybody know? Like, the nurses should probably know. Why am I not getting any information? And simultaneously, I also felt like a loser, and a whiny baby, and like I shouldn't like be worried or ask anyone, and that it will probably be fine. And I was getting mad at myself for like doom thinking this much, so I didn't want to address it with anybody because I felt like a failure. So I was in pain, and I was panicking, and I started crying and had panic attacks and started breathing really hard. And I tried to calm myself down, and I managed to about 4 or 5 times, but the panic attacks just wouldn't stop. So after like 1.5 hours, I finally rang for the nurse, and I was sitting up in bed, and I was like bending over, and I was in pain, and I was anxious, and I was panicking, and it wasn't fun. I was crying, had this face mask on, and it was so hot, and I was so incredibly uncomfortable, and I kept thinking what I was going to tell the nurse, and I kept mulling it over, and I kept trying to rationalize it so that I could explain properly what was going on, and it kept making me feel like more of a failure and more of a loser, so I kept crying harder. It was really weird. So the nurse comes in, she looks at me, and she's like, oh wait, okay, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. So I breathe, I cry. I was okay, give me a minute. It's like not the pain, like I am in pain, but that's not my biggest problem right now. So I calmed down a little bit, because this nurse is really patient. She's really patient with me. My biggest fear was that she was going to come in and that I wasn't going to be able to explain right away what was going on, and that she was going to be impatient with me. But she was very patient. She just stood there. She didn't try and come and touch me or whatever. She just waited, and she was very compassionate, and she was just very patient until I was ready to explain to her what was going on, which is really good bedside manner. So that put me at ease a little bit. It calmed me down enough for me to be able to explain. And I told her, like, okay, I'm looking for the words to explain this to you right now, because it's a bit complicated, which helped that I could like meta tell her that, so that if I started explaining and I couldn't really find the right words and it didn't come out correctly straight away, she would be aware that it wasn't an easy thing to explain for me. So I told her, listen, I have a personality disorder. These are the consequences. This is what's going on. Told her everything I'm telling you right now. Kept like crying a bit through it, but she was very, very helpful. Like, she put me at ease immediately. She also immediately confirmed that, yes, your surgeon is going to come. This is your doctor. Yeah, okay. She always comes in the afternoon. So the booklet that you got was like general before corona stuff, blah, blah. So arrangements have changed a bit, but she is going to come. Your drains will probably be taken out. Let me check on them. Okay, there's not that much fluid in them. They probably will be taken out. You did hear correctly. It's fine. I will bring you more pain medication. Would you like ibuprofen this time if paracetamol doesn't do it for you? Yes, okay. So she was really, really calm, fixed it, helpful, asked me if I also wanted my lunch. I was like, yep, that would be great. So I had lunch. That calmed me down like immediately. And it didn't take very long after that for my surgeon to come in. It was like an hour after that. So I had lunch. And at 12:30 or something, my surgeon came in, looked at my chest, was like, okay, that all looks good. The drains can come out. That was fucking painful. Drains coming out is a bitch. Oh my God. She didn't do it herself. She just looked at me and she was like, okay, everything's fine. You can go home. I'll give you all your papers. You have a checkup on the 25th. I was like, okay, cool. Yes. I had to ring for the nurse because I was like naked and I couldn't put my vest back on because she took off the bandages. and there had to be fresh bandages on me before I put my vest back on. So I was just sitting there waiting, and I was like, nobody's coming. But I felt emboldened by having my panic attack, and then still calling someone, and being able to explain. So I felt like stronger to express what I needed at that point. So I was like, okay, no, I'm just gonna ring someone, and I'm gonna be like, hey, this is a bit uncomfortable. Can somebody please come take these drains out? So a nurse came in. I was like, hi, I don't want to be rude or push at anyone, but I'm kind of uncomfortable here. And she looks at me and she's like, oh, what needs to happen? So she wasn't aware. I was like, well, my doctor was just here. The drains need out. I need new bandages and I gotta go home. She was like, oh, okay. I'm immediately going to call someone to take care of that for you. So then I was really proud of myself in that moment that I didn't wait too long. I gave it a little bit of time because, you know, people are busy. It's a hospital. They have a lot of work. Give it a little bit of time. But I'm really proud that I didn't give it hours before I was like, hey, hi, didn't y'all forget me? Because that's something that could have easily happened. So I'm proud of myself that I didn't do that. They came, got the drains out, very painful, ouch, ouch, ouch. Painful in the sense of really weird, like, because there's a big chunk of drain inside of you and they pull it out and you just, it's kind of, it's a weird kind of pressure, discomfort. You feel this thing just wiggle around inside of you. Like it's painful, but it's not so much the pain that is the motherfucking what the hell is going on, which is exactly what I said when she pulled the drains out. She was like, I'm going to count to 3 and then you have to blow on your hand just for a bit of distraction. And I was like, okay, so she counts to 3. She pulls and I'm like, holy mother of fuck, what's going on? I swore a lot and she thought it was really funny. Yeah, so I had called my friend to come pick me up when my surgeon entered. So by the time they were finished dressing my incisions, putting my vest back on, getting the drains out, me getting dressed and everything, she was pretty much almost there, so that I didn't have to wait too long. I made the mistake because I got more pain medication at 11:30, and it was like about 1:30, 2 o'clock when my friend came, and I pondered if I should take another ibuprofen then, because it was like an hour drive home. But then I was like, it's only been 2.5 hours. Isn't that a bit soon? I should have listened to myself because I didn't take one, and halfway the drive home, I was in so much pain. Oh, I was in so much pain. I should have taken pain medication before I got into the car. Because the problem with like getting surgery and pain is that if you let pain come through, it's a lot harder to make it go away. So you kind of have to stay ahead of it. So now I'm like switching up paracetamol and ibuprofen so that I can take, medication in shorter intervals, which is helpful. So I've been home for a few hours now. I've had dinner, it was spaghetti, it was really good. I'm feeling okay. Of course, like everything's a bit tight. The vest is a bit uncomfortable. I feel a bit of like pressure stinging, but I'm, pain meds, I have a good routine now. Pain is manageable, it's fine. Lying down is uncomfortable. I can't really lie flat, but I can't really sit up comfortably either, so I have to be in like this half position. My neck pillow helps, but it's also making me get a very stiff and sore neck, so I have big fluffy eyes boy behind me now, which is a bit better. I also have the cat baby. Yeah, so she has been lying on my bed ever since I got home a few hours ago. She's really keeping me company. It's really nice. But so far I'm doing good. So if you have any questions so far, please ask. There's a ton of pictures on Twitter. So yeah, I'll give you more updates if I know how recovery's going, when I've had my consult. Just whenever I discover some bits that are interesting or that future top surgery havers might want to know, I'll let you know. But that's how it went. Everything was fine. We're half an hour in, which is a good time to end this. And I really, really, really want to thank you all because you've been all supportive, very supportive. Thank you also for the people who supported the crowdfund to make this happen. You're adorable. I love you. I couldn't have done it without you. I love seeing all your faces on Twitter. It feels really, really warm to post pictures of like having had the surgery, being in the hospital, so many people liking and commenting on it and wishing me well. It's been really, really helpful as well. So thank you, and I'll see you soon. Love you. Bye.